Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Work from Anywhere Chronicles, where we talk to entrepreneurs, where we talk to leaders to understand how they've embraced work from anywhere and what it personally means to them, and what it means to their teams, and what it means to the kind of work that they do. And more importantly, for us, all of us to learn from those journeys, from their mistakes. Why do we have to make their mistakes, right? We can always learn from those mistakes. And tricks and tips and advices that these founders and entrepreneurs have done as part of their journey. And it's an attempt to capture that and to learn from that. And today, it's my pleasure to have Ratish Krishnan from SPI Edge team. I've known him for dog's years now, probably 4 5 years now, and we've worked and collaborated and interacted in so many different ways prior to this, and it kind of beats me why I'm talking to him live for the first time now after these many years. So here we have Ratish, and better late than never, as they say. So Ratish, welcome to this live stream on Work from Anywhere Chronicles. Happy to have you here, and you're a great source of inspiration to me and to my team, and obviously everybody who's touched you comes out with the same kind of a feeling. And I feel your journey and your story is also going to be instrumental in other organizations kind of embracing work from anywhere the way you've done. So thank you for coming on board, Ratish. Welcome.
Vanakkam. Thank you so much for having me here. Um, in fact, I am only a representative of my team. And like I say always to all the people who continue to work with us, who don't work with us, and who are perhaps going to work with us in the future, me minus my team is absolutely infinitesimally nothing. So I'm just representing my team here for all of the resilience and their ability to believe in themselves and their cause to adapt to the post-pandemic version of the company called SPI Edge.
Right. And Ratish, kind of that kind of brings me to this is something that I've been at awe, right, in terms of how you bring your team and you put team ahead of not just you, right? Every person in your team puts the team ahead of themselves in anything that they do, right? I think they all carry. I mean, they're young people, but they still carry a lot of identity and a lot of weight on their shoulders of carrying the 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 symbol of what SPH stands for. It's not them. It's that identity that they actually want to represent and protect and nurture and grow. So that kind of brings me to the first question, right? And I've been to your office before. I've been to your office at
Yeah.
in Mount Road, right near Mount Road, and I've seen the way you and your team work, right? To say the least, you are a bunch of school kids making the noisiest of sounds, right? Doing all kinds of weird ways in which you kind of come together and work, right? And it's kind of school kids without a teacher inside the class, right? That's
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you work, right? And I've seen that work, right? And I've seen. I mean, and I'm not saying that in the wrong sense. I'm saying it in the right sense, that that's how the team bonding, and that's how your team kind of comes together, and that's how they care for each other, and that's how they work with each other, right? So with that kind of a work and that kind of a work culture setup, what made you embrace work from anywhere? Because
Actually, there
you see
are
that
five
opposite,
things.
opposite to the way you worked before, if
Yeah.
not in what way?
So actually, there are five things. The first point is I am an individual who thrives in a group. So at any given point in time, I am either surrounded by a group of people or I go and participate in a group and make myself viable and useful because I draw energy from people around me. So that is the first fundamental shift. The first fundamental shift is the mindset of how you want to protect or generate energy. So there is it's a Japanese proverb. It's not your age, it's your energy.
Right.
So everything that we do is energy management. Like how Neer Eyal says, it's ultimately energy management if you have to develop focus and attention. So we had to shift our mindset to how to be focused in any environment rather than in environments where we usually used to thrive.
Right.
So that mindset, in my world, I call it the adaptability mindset, which is we have to take a decision to adapt. When we don't take a decision to adapt, what tends to happen is we do drama or we show resistance.
Right.
That resistance, we will find reasons to justify those resistance. Otherwise, we do drama and we actually show the world how much suffering and pain I am going to do one shit like matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went through that stage. We started with denial. Oh, Corona, it will go away in 10 days. Narendra Modi is trying to do something. To anger, with why does it take such a long time? It's May. Why are we not doing something about it?
Yeah.
To the previous places that we have been to tell people saying that, I don't know if I can meet you anymore. And this whole work from home is eating into a mental peace. So there is this whole cycle of grief that we went through.
Right.
At the end of grief, you will adapt.
Yeah.
So some of my team members took 1 month, some of them took 3 months, some of them are still adapting. So
Yeah.
it's not that we've created history or whatever it is, but they're still coping. But the
Right.
number of people who are coping has become one or two to be max. The second thing that made
Sure.
a really big difference to us is looking at our systems, looking at our success methods, our approaches to doing something, and making all of that remote first as technology. And when I mean remote first as technology, all of us use WhatsApp groups to communicate it like a notice board. We started actively talking in WhatsApp groups. So if we were to send 20 messages in a day, it had become more than 100 messages. Over a period of time, that 100 has become 20, which means we've learned what not to communicate over WhatsApp and what to talk over phone, what to do video chatting for, and what requires face to face meeting. So if there is a developmental conversation, we've learned it to push it to a face-to-face meeting. Thanks to Go Floaters, we have the entire Chennai, which brings me to the third thing.
Mhm.
We've always worked for the city of Chennai. For most of us who don't know what we do, we are an interdisciplinary accelerator, which means we work in arts and culture, we work in technology, we work in social entrepreneurship, we work for other group companies, we also work in HR, and we are also mentors and coaches for a lot of startups in Chennai and around Chennai as well. So people who meet us are more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have the Avengers plus the DC plus all sorts of forms and functions.
Right.
So I will be having a conversation with a sculptor and a movie director and a data analyst, and it might be a very weird combination to have that over a Google Meet. We've realized that in order for us to go remote first, we have to understand what we cannot do in remote.
Right.
That acceptability needs to be there. And we've understood we have to have nonsense time. We have to have gappa. In a corporate world, it's called as the water cooler moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. For us, it is about food. We are never 10 meters away from food. We have to keep talking, keep munching. All of that can't happen over WhatsApp.
Right.
All of that cannot happen over phone.
Yeah.
So we found the first reason to actually use the Go Floaters environment to do gappa. I remember talking to a lot of people in the Go Floaters team saying, I need time to do meeting and all of that. Of course, they've never asked what we do. The only thing that we did there was we went there, we made Maggie, we guys. So that social our office is called Thinnai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thinnai means the gateway between the road and the house in South Indian. My
Right.
team has now changed it to Chennai is our new Thinnai.
Right.
So therefore, we have the entire city for ourselves.
Right.
The last thing is how to reduce inventory. And now we are no more hoarders. We were hoarders. We had a lot of things for workshops and all the boards that we built. Now we found a way to put all of that in our homes, and it requires a lot of trust and maintenance, right? And these are the 5 things that helped us mature along the way in the last 4 months.
Right. Fantastic. So that Chennai is basically kind of, how do you say it? Liberates you and your team, right? You're no longer
Absolutely.
worried about where do I go tomorrow, right? When you
Ama.
say that was like the Sanskrit slogan, right? Vasudhaiva Kudambam, you kind of made Chennai your home, right?
Exactly.
Everybody else, your family, to where you go there, right? Lovely, lovely. See, I mean, you come from a HR background, right? You're
Yeah.
HR 40. Not many people. In fact, I didn't know it quite. I kind of always associated you with all the creative and experiential stuff that you do with TEDx or with Ink Salon or with Uddantiram and so on and so forth. Right? Those are the flavors I kind of see. Right? So I'm very sure this for you has been the biggest for the entire globe. This is the biggest HR experiment in how organizations form, how they
Correct.
form, and how they storm and how they perform. Right? This is, they say
Absolutely.
that's the phase in which any team goes.
Yes.
Right? You form, you norm, you storm, and then you perform eventually. Right? And so how has that been? Right? How do you see this experiment as a people experiment? How has this been to you and your team?
Actually, there are only two facets to this answer. And I'll explain the two facets very shortly. One is, if you're a person leading the organization, there are two things you've got to do. You have to always do what is right. What is right in the post-pandemic world if you are running an organization that commits to building a business? So organization is the back end and your business is the front end.
Right.
You have a moral responsibility for your front end to survive. And in order to survive, you need to move away from your self preservation mindset, which is we will wait till everything comes back to normal,
Right.
or to believe that I will begin from where I can and I will actually do small beginnings. I
Mhm.
will take incremental improvement as a modus operandi, and I will show sustained progress in all the levers of the organization, and I will fail miserably in some,
Yeah.
and therefore I will see humongous possibilities into action. And
Right.
that humongous possibility is, which my dear friends, who I don't know who's listening, is in any black swan moment, which is any disruptive moment, your organization must develop anti-fragility elements and elements of resilience.
Right.
Elements of resilience is how quickly you're able to bounce back, and anti-fragility is such a scenario happens in the future, how am I able to protect myself from not breaking down?
Right.
So therefore, all the things that we did has been around building anti-fragility and resilience elements. And
Right.
that for me is the people experiment. Only people can be resilient, but the organization has to be anti-fragile, and that can only be done through systems and processes.
Right. So kind of in a way, if I had to do that, you kind of discovered the vaccine for yourself, right, and for your organization to kind of come back from this moment, right, and kind of build that resilience back into it, right, and you have to build that you for yourself. Nobody else is going to come from outside and build that for you. Right?
I'm not able to hear you. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Can you say something?
Yeah. Is it audible now, Pradesh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay. But your audio has gone a little bit feeble. But I think we'll
Should I
manage with that.
should I just reload?
Yeah. Why don't you try that, Ratish?
Okay.
Just give us a minute. Ratish is probably has some network issues. He should be joining anytime. Yeah, there he is.
Am I audible now?
Perfect, perfect. You're back. You're back.
Perfect.
What I was saying is that whatever you said, right, in terms of building resilience within the individuals, thereby giving anti-fragility power to the organization, is more like you develop your own vaccine for your organization, right, and you kind of make it immune from within, right,
Yes.
rather than making it immune from outside. I think that seems to be the analogy that I can draw from this, right. The other aspect I want to kind of you talked about failures, right? You talked about
Yes.
see, I've been in conversation with multiple leaders, organizational heads, and a lot of team leads who manage teams, and even employees of some of our clients, right? And kind of have been trying to get a pulse of their mentality or mindset right now, right? So there's a lot of fear, I mean, a lot of how do you say it? Fear even to try something, right? So they want somehow we've gotten to the status quo of work from home and being 100% remote and not meeting
Yeah.
people and all that,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of people still want to continue that status quo and like you said, right, wait till everything gets okay. It's almost like let's hibernate for now and come back when things get better, right? From the
True.
apocalypse, right? So I'm very sure that you also talked about resistance within your team and things like that, right? So what experiments or what as a leader, what are the things that you tried? What worked? What did not work? And specifically, if you could spend more time in what did not work and what you could
Perfect.
share with other people, so that they also kind of uh, accelerate their learning curve from your failures, if I have to use that.
So there are 6 things that didn't work, and I'll keep it very short. Okay. One is behaving as a moron. Okay. A lot of us have a moron within us,
Right.
and that moron is sometimes communicated as just assuming that people are available 24 bar 7 if you are working from home. The second aspect of being the moron is
Can I quick
um,
Can I quickly ask you to check your video stream, Ratish? You're frozen. Your audio is coming through. Okay.
is this better? I'm able to see myself.
Okay. I think on the okay, fine. Let's go ahead. I think it probably will fix itself.
So
Yeah.
So one aspect of being the moron that I just said is us thinking that our employees are available 24 bar 7.
Right.
Because there'll be so many people trying to depend on you for so many things. Put yourself. Second, so behaving as a moron didn't work for us. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to find a way for people to have support systems that they can lean on to. Some of us are good in certain things, some of us are not good in certain things, and as a team we should decide what not to do.
Right.
You have to be very clear. So that didn't work for us, as in we wanted to do everything, we ended up behaving morons.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is us not learning technology the way the technology is built.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom has certain things, Google Meet has certain things. I know some of my employees who have bandwidth issues, I will do Zoom for them. I have some employees who believe, I want to toggle between buttons and I like Google Meet, so I will do Google Meet. Some of them use Blue Jeans. Today we are doing Restream. We should understand that it's like vegetable market. All the technology is like a vegetable market, and you should get adapted to vegetable market and not say Zoom does not work for me, that does not work for me, this does not work for me. Basically this Cadbury's ad, I don't know, you do too much drama to eat that chocolate. So we also did a lot of drama. We said only we will do Google Meets, only we will do, and nature slapped us and said, boss, you have to adapt, you have to do multiple things. So multiplicity is the learning, and
Right.
multiplicity is the way to go. Third thing that we tried to do, which failed miserably, was doing this whole town hall meetings, getting everyone together, giving them monthly updates about what was happening. I know some of them switched it off and watched IPL match. Some of us just wanted to eat dinner and do something else.
Right.
So the whole concept of understanding
Ratish, we've lost your audio now.
sorry, can you hear me now?
No, you're back. No, you're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to consider the employee and their family as part of the unit system, which means you should know what time does their father sleep. You should know if there is a cancer patient in the house. You should know if there is a pregnant lady. You should know if they are fighting for school fees. You should know all of these things. So we never knew all of these things much deeper than what we know today. So that was a big mistake that we did. Assuming that they will handle their problems, we just have to handle their work. The fourth mistake that we did was holding on to assets, inventory. I need this marker, I need this board, I need this big game that I bought, I need this furniture, I want this painting, I want my memories. We learned to let go. We were like, okay, if all of this went in one earthquake, you will stop running the business, is it? Or
Right.
just got burnt under fire, you will stop doing something else.
Right.
So that was one of the learnings, the ability to learn to let go. The fifth thing, which was a mistake that we did, and we still repent for it today, is we actually hired some of them who lost jobs, and we tried working with them on new projects before we could set the right, which
Okay.
is in the current set of people to settle down.
Mhm.
So we should have postponed hiring, and we learned that we should now learn to hire slowly, because our employees can now come from anywhere, and it is about understanding our culture remote than understanding our culture physical. So it's a big mistake that we made. Now we've rectified it and we're doing it really well.
Right.
Last thing is, we are a team wherever we go. Whether we work out of Saukarpet tea stall, whether we work out of some corporate conference room, when we work out of footpath, we've also worked out of Tiruvanmiyur Beach, Palavakam Beach. Let me tell you, I've done a review with laptops open in Palavakam Beach,
Right.
because employees needed a break. You need to give them flavors to say, okay, I have one person, let them curate the space, let them curate the face, let another person curate the pace. So my feedback to all of you is, we've learned these three things which is important: space, SPACE, face, which is FACE, and pace.
Ratish, again, your video and audio got stuck. So again, I'll just have you repeat it. Ratish, you're able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You said three things, right? You said pace, uh, and pace. I think we lost you there.
Yes.
Okay, okay. And the other question, so basically, this is the other thing I want to kind of from you, right? In terms of, I mean, summary of what. And so one, you've become lot of people fear that the remote actually means lesser empathy, but you kind of said that when you're remote, you actually have to be more empathetic to your team member. You got to know them better, right? You have to know the environment that they have much better, right? At office, you there are instances where these things get discussed over, but here you have to make a conscious effort to know that, right? And then be very sensible about it when you do things with them, right? And in terms of setting expectations, in terms of the process of doing work and all that. And it's quite interesting that you said that now you've experimented with different kinds of spaces as well, right? You've been in
Yes.
coffee shop, you've used meeting rooms from Go Floaters and office spaces from Go Floaters, and then you've gone to Palavakam Beach as well, right? How has all of this affected or improved the productivity of your team, and more importantly, your team thrives on creativity, right? More than most of us, where uh, work output is measured in terms of, hey, how many documents did you create, or how many lines of code did you write. But here your team thrives on creativity, and their creativity is the output, more or less. So how has this way of working, of work from anywhere, how has that positively or negatively impacted productivity, happiness within your team, and their creative outputs?
This is the first time my team learned my infrastructure costs. This is also the first time my team learned that from the time they enter into an office till the time they are actually productive, there is a time of 2 hours which is called settle down. Today, that settle down time is not there. It's practically zero, which means when you walk into a cafe, like any cafe for that matter, you're not going to be waiting to order or whatever. You're there to quickly log in and do some stuff. And therefore, efficiency in terms of trying to find my comfort zone is not there.
Right.
Third thing is, so one is cost benefit, the other is mindset benefit, which is focus, settling down time has reduced. The third thing is, everyone is truly frugal about what they are spending on and how they are spending on. We've always had a culture of discussing with people what their lifestyle costs are. But today, between employees, they have a better understanding of what their lifestyle choices are. And therefore, we are able to understand each other much effectively. And the fact that you just need a bag and a laptop or a phone, like I never work on laptop. I have stopped working on laptop for 3 years now, because I want to reduce the dependency of my team trying to look at and evaluate a report. If I can't trust them, then why give them a laptop? So I
Right.
have trained myself to technologies that are more handy. Therefore, they will prioritize what needs to be done. So all my businesses, about 6 or 7 of them, are run completely through phone and WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Everything is phone and WhatsApp.
Right.
So I am asset light as an individual. Therefore, I should be empowering to the team in terms of technology. And we don't have this, we buy a device and give it to you. All of them bring their own devices, and they have, we work on Google Suite, and there's absolutely no problem in terms of infrastructure. In fact, productivity has been up and down, but our ability to be outcome oriented has significantly improved.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of problems that we don't know to handle solutions for, because 100% of my team works on volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous problems. Therefore, they're literally working with the unknown. They don't know if the output is going to be genuine or not. And
Right.
some of the businesses that we are trying to seed have a 90% failure rate. So their ability to actually improve or go outcome driven is very, very critical. And we moved our P&Ls from monthly to weekly P&Ls. And
Okay.
our stack rankings are now on a daily basis. So therefore, it is very important for us to measure our day on a weekly basis and measure our weeks on a daily basis, which means we plan our day's intensity for a week and we measure our week in terms of our daily outputs.
Lovely. Okay. Okay. And that, like you said, it's output based and not in terms of the effort that one
Correct.
puts, right? Okay. Nicely put. And I think the other, go back to my previous question, right? What I also observed with your team specifically, and which may be true to a lot of startups as well, is that you have a fairly, I mean, I would say your average age of a team, if I remove Ratish from the equation, maybe the average age is around 21 or 22, right? Even in my case, also, I'm kind of I'm kind of the person who's pulling it in the opposite direction, right? And a lot of people with your team also are joining any kind of an organization for the first time in their life. This is their first job for many of them, right? And like you when you opened up, you said for people who are going to come and join you in the future and all that, right? So how do you see this entire onboarding and bringing them up to speed, and specifically somebody like who joined workforce first, right? I was placed in Infosys, right? So I had a mental picture of Infosys and the buildings and how. So the identity was with the building and the way the infra is available and all that, right? And I feel that this is also going to be a challenge as like organizations, like people join a work from anywhere organization, right? You okay? What is my identity, right? My identity is this night, this day, and another day, another day, right? So what are the ideas or what are the things that have fixed that for you, or what are you working on to fix that if at all you see that as a problem, and how do you make this onboarding easy? When somebody joins in, how do you make them comfortable in kind of getting on board and understand what you do all do? And you said 6 businesses, and each one of them is diverse in its own sense. So what's your approach to onboarding team members?
In fact, onboarding is one process that has not changed in the pre-COVID and the post-COVID world,
Okay.
because in hindsight, we've understood that onboarding an individual is onboarding a mindset and not related to anything else apart from mindset. So what we tell people when they are interested in us is work with us for a week. If you like us as jokers and you believe you are a joker, then you should actually be working with us. In that 1 week, they get to meet different characters and they get to do different types of work.
Right.
And when they get to do different types of work, they have the ability to either run away or they have the ability to improve.
Right.
And those people who improve, I am telling you, out of 10 are 4. Okay. That number has not changed even now. But
Right.
that process, in fact, has become slightly more easier. And why slightly more easier is I just need to send you a WhatsApp or a voice note on what I need. If they need something, they'll call and they will do whatever. So it's about output and outcome and not necessarily about how much outstanding I have to show the organization is. We tell them basically that this is like one tea kada, Chennai is our Chennai. If you really want to make a difference, we want to hire you as a founder. So if I have about 12 people in my team, compensated with 35 to 40 interns that we are still managing today, and that's
Right.
a large size, we tell them saying we're trying to hire another 13th person or a 14th person as a founder. So you need to be a self-starter. You need to do something that is resourceful, which means you're not dependent on resources. And lastly, you should have that experimentation mindset saying, I may not get everything that I desire. I will only get what I deserve. And in order for you to develop that deservingness, you've got to put your foot where your mouth is. Otherwise, nothing will happen.
Right.
So we put them to test in terms of giving them real work to do. If they fail, we will have a plan B. And that's how we always work. If they don't fail, then that means great, we found a person for the team. And therefore, onboarding has not significantly changed. In fact, the culture that we set previously has only helped us today.
Just do that. Okay. So I have two more questions to go, Ratish, but then I also want to give you time to talk about things that I've not asked you explicitly. So the penultimate question is like, when we spoke, I think this might have been a couple of weeks or a month back, right? You said your virtual community building effort has gone really, really well, right? Right. And again, this entire thing was very, very physical prior to COVID, right? And all of your events, all of the experiences that you curated, all the volunteers and interns you brought in into kind of hosting events were basically giving them the opportunity to interact with each other and figure out their own calling. Hey, this is something that we have to do in the future. Like, how is that virtual community building worked out for you? And two or three things that really has made it work really well in a virtual way. If you could share that.
So we have licenses for close to 13 to 14 communities in Chennai and in the country. And for a whole lot of about 30 to 40 other communities, we are either mentors or core volunteer team members.
Ratish, we've again seem to have lost your audio.
Is this?
No, the audio is again gone.
See if this works. 1 second.
It is right now. It's working.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, you're audible now. Yeah.
Like I said, about 13 to 14 communities, we hold licenses, and more than about 35 to 40, we are either mentors or part of their core team group, or we are the core facilitators for their prosperity. Very early in the COVID entry, which is March and April, we were amongst the first set of people who said, okay, we should be the pioneers in developing resilience in the community. So we have actually been talking to a whole lot of people about how to go remote, what aspects of the community needs to go remote, and how can we be the first people to do that. Like, for instance, a very simple thing, and giving this as an example, we got the Zoom license for the organization. A lot of communities don't have great P&L structures that they can afford this Zoom license to conduct. So what we told them was, we have the license, we will share the license with you, and we expect that you try it. So if I remove all your constraints, which is your fiscal problems, your problems with respect to deployment, will you still be able to experiment with the agenda of your community? That's the challenge that we posed. Mm-hmm. And I like to make a statement here. What fact in their world can we disprove so that they have the ability to question the fact? And that mindset is what helped us take a lot of communities remote today. We were also one of the early participants for the Arts and Culture Resources of India. It's called as ACRI, where we helped a lot of artisans, creative people, people who are part of the whole creative economy, gig economy, take surveys and submit their voice and see that voice and get that entity to give us data-driven insights into how Chennai is. For the month of December, to say how are we going to
again lost the audio for the last bit.
Can you hear me
now? It's okay. Yeah, can you repeat the last bit?
Thanks to the kind of data that we collected by getting this voice tabulated, we were also amongst the first people to encourage Chennai to rethink of Margadi in terms of process and see how Margadi is going to happen for the month of December. We've also with technologists and inventors to say, how are they able to do physical experiments digital, and how are we able to make that difference? And we saw So we found tools for prototyping. We found tools for watching movies together. We found tools for doing tambola. We've got tools for eating together. And we've experimented all of that, being the first people to say, if we are the first people to make a difference, we are the first beneficiary of that change. And
Yep.
that's the mindset that helped us.
Sure, sure, sure. So the last one to close it off, Ratish, and again, like I said, please do share whatever you think the community would benefit from that I've not directly asked you. Uh, what I want to hear from you is like, how do you see this future? So how do you see the future of work from anywhere for your organization specifically, right? And for any knowledge-based organization that's not, or any organization that's not depend on a physical asset like a factory or a machine, right? So how do you see future of work or work from anywhere from your lens? How does it look like? And I want to add another tag to it. How do you see responsible work from anywhere in the future? Right? How do you see that an organization that wants to embrace work from anywhere? What would they have to do it in a responsible way?
So work for me is a social responsibility. It will give us ability to become abundant and prosperous for our future. That's what work merely does. So if work is a social responsibility, the first word, mind you, is social. We are all social creatures. And we have to understand, if work cannot preserve social inclusion or social experiences, then you're not doing work, it becomes labor.
Right.
So we have understood that very deeply, that being social is not about having conversations with someone. Being social is about being vulnerable and yet getting work done because of that vulnerability. Then comes responsibility. I think in the future, and I'm speaking for a whole lot of people who are my partners, including you, is we moved from responsibility to accountability. Because in the pre-COVID world, I'll give you an example. If I have to meet you at 4 o'clock, I can still say I have traffic. Today, 4 o'clock is 4 o'clock. And you've got
Right.
to there and make that happen. Otherwise, you fatigue. Every other meeting will skip by 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and your calendar will go to a toss, and it will just lead to fatigue. I
Right.
believe for FPI Edge as an entity, future is going to be fantastic. And our ability to become agile has only been growing month on month. And weekends, weekdays have blurred. And work-life integration is at its best.
Right.
And we know that celebrations like Diwali that is coming up is a self-preserving culture. And we will celebrate really well. And we will be able to share that experience with a lot of people.
Nicely said. Thank you. And like I said, if you'd like to talk about aspects that from this entire experience that again has not come up through these questions, please do.
The only thing that's left for me to discuss perhaps is, we have something called as a roadmap, and we are still building it. It's a work in progress. And thanks to our association with GoFloaters, our roadmap, which is our way to help individuals grow in the organization, is built very, very cohesively. And for me, roadmap stands for robust development of mastery, autonomy, and purpose. Mastery is their ability to become experts in the domain that they want to be in,
Right.
and become neo-generalist. Autonomy is where GoFloaters is helping us, because now I need my people to not just feel empowered, but also become autonomous. Exactly like electric vehicles and all of that, they need to have a system that works automatically through algorithms that they know it is actually powerful to get something out,
Right.
which then brings me to purpose. So now they have a moral responsibility to behave as a better citizen inside the house, inside a cafe, inside a theater, inside a workplace, inside a conference room, inside a beach. So work now is more like a behavior rather than an activity. And that is a very high purpose driven task. And this roadmap is what we're looking to build in the next quarter. And I'm hoping that in the next financial year that's coming up, we have something that we can showcase to every accelerator who's managing all kinds of founders, and organizations who are trying to build entrepreneurship from within called intrapreneurs, that they can use this framework to develop mastery, autonomy, and purpose in all of their employees, because ultimately that's what we need in an organization. We want experts in the organization. We want everyone to get work done by the time they said they would do it and work like owners. And finally, have a purpose-driven life where work is a means to achieving their purpose.
Lovely. Great. So awesome work on that. These again, like I said, you're a man. You and your team, and let me not give just the credit to you, but you kind of are the front runners in doing a lot of experiments and making them. And then being very open to share it with others as well, right? The journey that you traverse through. So for me, like if I have to summarize, right, it's all in the mindset, right? I think if it all echoes back together, for me. It's just you as a leader have to remove your own mindset that clouds what is possible, what is not possible, and if you right, and if you're able to transfer that off to your team members, that's the fundamental, and in fact, fundamental are the only hurdle to come over. So once you've come over that, everything is about finding solutions and adapting rather than kind of hiding behind excuses and policies, right? I think that's the biggest learning from what I think you said, right? And it doesn't matter whether you have a young team. It doesn't matter whether you are working with creative talent or you're working with intellectual talent, right? And things, or a young or an old team, experienced team or a young team. If that mindset changes, work from anywhere could actually be much more productive, much more creative, and much more outcome driven than your office centric world has ever been, right? And in that sense, I will take your whatever you said as a thumbs up on work from anywhere, right? Because that still seems to be a lot of people feel that they have the power when they have the seat, right, in a cabin, and so they enjoy that. A lot of leaders enjoy that, right? They can see everybody working, 40 people working on their laptops. They see that that's the way they get work done, right? But when you give this mastery, autonomy, and purpose, right, you don't need to be around to get
Absolutely right.
make
In
things
fact,
happen.
my team's definition for work from anywhere is always going to be flawed execution and flawed adaptation. None of us can do it flawlessly. It is in the flaw that you will learn who you are. Because I can only make a mistake the way I can. Nobody else can make my mistake or my team's mistake.
Right.
So
right.
work anywhere is definitely going to be flawed execution and flawed adaptation. However,
Ratish, we again have a frozen frame from you.
that's all.
Ratish, you have to repeat the last sentence, the flawed adaptation, yet, and then we missed you.
Flawed adaptation and execution needs to be done with just two things. Do it intently and do it with enthusiasm. That's all.
Right. Yeah, I think the intent is where things go wrong, right? Managers specifically and leaders, they give more weightage to what they can tangibly see than the intent that is gone to see. Because if you only see the outcome, then you close yourself to experiments happening within your organization. You close yourself to innovations that could potentially happen. If you give the fear to your team members that, hey, I'll measure you by what you produce every day, right? As though they are like chickens in a farm come to lay eggs, right? And you measure them to the number of eggs they lay every day. Then you will get the same egg, right? You're not going to get innovative egg ever, right? So I think I loved what you said in terms of giving weightage to the intent behind people showing up to work, and once you have the purpose and intent, I think everything else falls into place, right? And teams figure out how to get things happening and get things rolling. Awesome talking to you, Ratish, again. As ever, it's always enlightening to talk to you, and it's always right. I peel another layer of what you do, right? And I try to understand a little bit more about how you and your team are shaping a lot of things around Chennai, right? Culture, entrepreneurship, innovations that you do and experiences that you curate, and bringing to light of a lot of art forms that we never knew of, and conservation, ecology, and so many things, right? So I think your people experiments with Work From Anywhere is another layer of the onion I could peel off. I'm happy that I was able to do that with this short live session. Thanks again, Ratish, and your team. I was hoping to see some of your team members hanging around and making the ruckus that they usually do, but it looks like you've told them, "Hey, this is a live session. Don't put that background noise." I don't know if you're able to hear me, but I'm going to end this session anyways. So it is wonderful having Ratish. I think we've covered very little in terms of what he and his team have been able to achieve, but hopefully this has been a how do I say it, a catalyst to your own thinking and your own approach to Work From Anywhere. And more is going to come from the series as we speak to other organization founders and leaders from across India. Till the next time that we bring another podcast and video cast to you. See you. Take care. This is Sham, the founder of CoFloaters.